we're about to go on a bit of a journey, a deep dive into the hidden world of some of India's most fascinating and, well, unusual plants. Our mission? To track down the bizarre star-shaped flowers of the Caralluma genus, and we'll be guided by the incredible fieldwork of botanist Mukesh Vahid. So, let's get started.
And just look at what we're searching for. I mean, seriously, does that not look like something from another planet? With its wild patterns and almost alien-like structure, it's the perfect introduction to the mystery and the beauty that we're about to uncover. All right, so our first target is one of the most incredible Indian Carallumas out there, Caralluma pauciflora. And as you're about to see, this plant is a perfect example of how the greatest treasures are often the hardest ones to find. And there it is, Caralluma pauciflora. The patterns on this thing are just stunning, aren't they? And our guide, Mukesh, he notes something really interesting. The plants found closer to the city of Madurai, they actually have even bigger, more beautiful flowers. So, how does this plant live? Well, it's not one to stand out in the bright sun. No, this one's a creeper. Its long, slender stems just kind of sneak along the ground, hiding out in the shade under dense bushes, usually where it's a bit moist. And its flowers? They pop up one at a time, which makes finding each one feel really special.
And this quote right here just perfectly sums up the challenge. Even though it's technically a common species in some spots, Mukesh says it was a real struggle to actually find it. It's literally a real-life treasure hunt, pushing through all this thick foliage just for a peek at this hidden gem.
Ever wonder where these scientific names come from? Well, pauciflora has a pretty simple clue built right in. Pauci is just Latin for few. A perfect way to describe a plant that shows off its incredible flowers one by one instead of in big bunches. Simple as that. Okay, now let's do a complete 180. If that last plant was a shy, shade-loving creeper, our next species is a total sun worshipper. Let's meet Caralluma indica.
And yeah, you can see the difference right away. Unlike that single, lonely bloom of pauciflora, indica flowers in these beautiful, dense clusters. It's got a completely different personality. It's bold and it's right out there in the open for everyone to see.
This plant is absolutely built for the sun. It has these shortest stems that grow straight up, and it loves dry, open areas. And instead of one flower, it's showing off with big clusters of 6 to 8 at a time.
Yeah, this one is not shy about flowering at all. The name for this one is about as straightforward as it gets. Indica. Well, it just means it's native to India. A pretty fitting name for a plant that you can find all over several states, from Andhra Pradesh to Tamil Nadu. All right, get ready for the crown jewel of our search. The next species is described as the most beautiful of all Indian Carallumas, but of course, it's also the most challenging one to find. This is Caralluma truncado-coronata. I mean, you can just feel the passion in those words, right? When the expert who's guiding you calls something his all-time favorite, and the most difficult to find, you know you're about to see something really, really special. And this is exactly why it's so captivating. The variety within this one single species is just astonishing. Just look at the differences in color and pattern between these two. Every single one you find is like a unique little work of art. But they all have one thing in common. They're all, as Mukesh says, very beautiful.
But its beauty isn't its only secret. Oh no. Part of what makes it so hard to find is that this plant is an absolute master of survival, with a super clever trick for getting through the harsh Indian climate.
So check this out. When the brutal summer heat hits, the plant just disappears. Poof, gone from the surface. It survives by living underground, getting by on its strong, succulent roots. Then, as soon as the rains come back, it reemerges. It's an amazing adaptation that makes it a true survivor.
So, what about that long, kind of complicated name? Well, it actually comes directly from the flower's intricate design. Truncado-coronata refers to the truncated or kind of shortened tips of its corona. That's the little crown-like thing right in the center. A name as unique as the plant itself.
So far, our journey has shown us some incredible beauty, but it also points to a much more urgent story. Now we need to talk about the species that are fading away, the plants that are becoming incredibly rare and even endangered.
Let's look at two of these fading stars. On the left, we have Caralluma crenulata. It's so beautiful and sought after that collectors call it a must-have, which of course only puts more pressure on it. And on the right, Caralluma procumbens, a super fascinating creeper whose stems can grow to an incredible 2 to 3 meters long. And this
right here, is what makes the search so urgent. After finally finding C. procumbens, Mukesh doesn't just celebrate, he sounds an alarm. His expert opinion is crystal clear. This plant is in serious trouble and needs major conservation efforts if it's going to survive.
So, our short trip into the world of Indian Carallumas is coming to a close. But for botanists like Mukesh Vahid, the search is, well, it's never really over. Looking at these flowers, it's so easy to understand the passion that drives this kind of work. Each one is like a small, perfect puzzle, a tiny piece of biodiversity that tells a completely unique story about the world around it.
And the journey doesn't really end with a conclusion. It's more of a promise that there are more species out there to find, more stories to tell, and a lot more secrets still hiding out in the Indian landscape.
And this leaves us with a really important question. We've only looked at a small handful of these incredible plants today, so it really makes you wonder, how many others are out there, still completely unknown to us, just waiting to be discovered, before they disappear forever?